Been looking forward to. South Africa will host the Cricket World Cup alongside Namibia and Zimbabwe in 2027. Heading up the organisation of the event that is expected to inject billions into the economy and help build the country is former Finance Minister Trevor Manuel. Last week, he was announced as a chair of the board of the local organising committee. Manuel is supported by 6 independent non-executive directors, 5 non-independent non-executive directors and 3 ex-officio members. He joins us now. Very good morning and welcome to the AM Report.
Good morning to you and your viewers.
Firstly, why did you say yes to the job of being a chairman of the board?
I'm still trying to figure that out. No, I think it's a great opportunity to, again, take a moment to remind ourselves of what we are capable of as a nation of South Africans. In this case, slightly broader, to include our neighbors, Namibia and Zimbabwe, as you said. But we need to reconvene from time to time, and I think this is a good moment to do so. And it's a privilege to take this responsibility. It's a different kind of responsibility for me, but important nonetheless that we try and make a success of this and demonstrate the capability of South Africans together.
Oh, you got out of politics just over 10 years ago. Now you're back in the politics of sport. Are you a big cricket fan?
I am, but you know, I think that beyond, I do hope that this is a great time to actually build out cricket. I think that cricket is a great sport. It's the second most followed sport in the world after soccer. In South Africa, it's tended to be confined to one part of society. We've got to generalize that, and this might be a moment to take the campaign for cricket to more and more South Africans, and perhaps this is a good time to begin to do that.
How does the tournament then balance that, the commercial viability of the actual event and then what it's supposed to mean for a country in terms of developing the sport, taking it to communities that don't necessarily have access to it and inspiring the country? How do you balance those two things?
Well, I think that in respect of the tournament, what the International Cricket Council does reasonably well is to finance. It does mean that that financing takes away the ability of host countries to negotiate things like broadcast rights and so on. Those are baked into the agreement for South Africa to host it. So the ICC would get the bulk of that funding, but they will ensure that the tournament is well managed and funded through Cricket South Africa. The advantage that we have here in respect of cricket is that we don't have to spend a heck of a lot of money on stadiums. What CSA is undertaking now are certain upgrades, including things like floodlights and so on. So that's taken care of. There are other expenses that do arise in the convening of these tournaments. They are primarily from government. Some of these are issues that may have been somewhat neglected, like the general maintenance of roads, the provision of water and sanitation and energy, not just to the stadiums, but to the communities. And there are a number of host cities for these events. And so it brings those issues into sharper relief. Also, facilities like our airports and so on need somewhat of an upgrade because they were rebuilt for 2010, but I think that in some respects they're a bit tired now.
Chairman, our poll question this morning on our show is about service delivery around the country. Whenever these major tournaments come up and whenever anybody speaks about South Africa hosting a major event, the big question mark is what is the price tag and can South Africa as a country afford that cost when we can't even get things like service delivery right and the vast majority of South Africans don't have access to basic services?
I think that what's different between this tournament and, say, FIFA 2010 is that we don't have to spend money on stadiums and so on. South Africa just recently hosted the SA20s at a number of venues, and you would have seen that those venues were all filled to the brim, and that speaks well of the cricket following. So take that as a given. I'm saying that in respect of some of the issues, the infrastructure in some of the cities, Johannesburg, Gqeberha, Buffalo City, amongst others, needs some attention. It would have to be done in any event. This is not something done merely for the tournament, but I think the tournament raises the bar in respect of city management and getting this right. Overall, I think what we do needs a very close association with the government, and government would need to form quite a representative interministerial committee capable of dealing with a range of these issues, from policing to transport systems to local government, etc. And that is the point of interaction between the local organizing committee and the delivery of the tournament issues, government in general.
Yeah. What is the cost of this event to the South African taxpayer? Well,
you see, I'm saying that the tournament is covered by the agreement from the ICC, so all of the tournament costs are covered. But I'm saying that
it's just the venues.
If you live in any of the cities, these issues need to be done in any event. You are merely focusing attention on the need for city management to deal with these issues. You're focusing on the need for Airports Company South Africa to ensure that those carousels and other matters that may have fallen somewhat behind now can be upgraded. They need to be upgraded. It's not an additional cost. It's sometimes just fast-tracking these processes.
And that's certainly going to come as welcome news for so many residents in the different host cities. Those host cities being Johannesburg, Pretoria, Cape Town, Durban, Gqeberha, Bloemfontein, East London and Paarl. And as much as we are co-hosting with Namibia and Zimbabwe, South Africa certainly has the bulk of these matches. South Africa going to be hosting 44 different matches for this Cricket World Cup. And Peleti Maseki of Cricket South Africa was quoted as saying that the tournament will inject 15 billion into the economy. So this is something that is not only going to be good for the when we look at that figure, how much of that is going to be realized pre-event, post-event, and during the event?
Look, I've worked in economics for long enough to be somewhat suspicious of these multipliers that are dreamt up in the models. They do assist, but it's quite important to be sanguine about what they can provide. And so I don't get too carried away by those numbers. We'll know as the tournament unfolds what the possibilities are. Part of this issue as well is the legacy issues. What do we leave behind to ensure that South Africa is transformed on an ongoing basis? And I'm hoping that we can expand on some of the very strong initiatives in cricket, especially for youngsters. I like the KFC cricket. I also like what happens in the Boerland, which they call flucky cricket, where communities convene and there's a lot of cricket played. If we can multiply that across the country, then we can take the idea of cricket forward out of the leafy suburbs into the rest of South Africa. And that, I think, is a worthwhile legacy issue for us to consider.
Well, we've actually got somebody that plays cricket on a weekly basis here in studio, and that is Arabile. Iman, I'm not sure if you ever were exposed to the KFC mini cricket, but we saw the fantastic initiative out in Langa when we were there, when they were celebrating Themba Bavuma and our World Test champions. But you've got a question for the chairman?
Well, I can honestly tell you there's not one cricket trophy on my shelf at all. Gymnastics and volleyball, I know it's hard to believe, but they are there. Trevor, good morning. I know it's really early in the morning and we're asking you such serious questions. And I think one of the things we want to ensure is that there's a growth in the run rate as well as the Boerewors queue for the benefit of the local SMEs. Are you excited about all this? I mean, it is it's leaning into your skill, but it's a different arena.
Iman, you've known me for long enough to know that it's a different kind of issue I'm taking on here. I can apply some of what I've learned elsewhere because I think that the local organizing committee is strong in skills, but we don't count amongst those skills batting and bowling. And so what we have to do is beyond the boundary. If we understand that, then I think we can work with both Cricket South Africa and government and ensure that the tournament delivers what it needs to deliver. We can make this exciting, and we will make it exciting, but it's by applying skills acquired elsewhere in a different environment. For instance, the former Deputy President, Dr.
Valen, help.
Sorry?
I'm getting Valen to help.
Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka is, I mean, she put up a hand to deal with the legacy issues. And it's a very interesting issue because she's working on a youth and culture program on the G20 at the moment. And she thinks that by building the issues from the G20 into the Cricket World Cup 2027, we have a fairly easy trajectory. And it's that kind of thinking that I think is so exciting about what the possibilities are that present right now.
Trevor Arabile here. I'm trying to imagine you just throwing in a googly somewhere, or at least bowling spin. Which was your preference? Was it the bowling, the batting? What are you more famous for? I mean,
I was a terrible batsman. I'm not going to own up to anything. See, part of the problem was in the early days of Parliament, there used to be parliamentarians against the journalists who called themselves the spin doctors. It was great fun, but it exposed how useless the bulk of parliamentarians were with bat and ball. So I'm not going to talk about cricketing prowess at all. Certainly not to you, Arabile.
And finally, what would you, when you look back at the 2027 Cricket World Cup and your time as being the chairman of the local organising committee, what will you look back and say, that was a success?
Look, I'm saying that the convening of the tournament is a major success. Inviting more South Africans into the game is a big success, and I was very impressed by the numbers of people who pitched for the SA20s. If you look at the interest of in the game, especially in Southeast Asia, then you begin to understand what the possibilities are. But it's when we can take the game into communities across the country that I think would be the lasting legacy. It's a difficult game. I mean, even junior games take half a day, so it requires a lot of dedication, but hopefully there's sufficient energy and enthusiasm for the game to build that in, because that would be the lasting legacy. And then we don't count rands and cents. I think we count a change in the way in which society sees sport as a convening kind of initiative, and that's what I hope we could do through Cricket World Cup 2027.
Chairman of the local organising committee board for the 2027 Cricket World Cup. Thank you so much, Mr. Trevor Manuel, for chatting to us here on the AM Report.